It begins with a flash. Not a flicker on your screen, but a colossal, blinding eruption on the surface of our Sun. A force so immense, so utterly unstoppable, it hurls billions of tons of superheated plasma, charged particles, and magnetic fields directly towards Earth. This isn't science fiction, not a Hollywood blockbuster. This is the 2026 solar maximum, a celestial event we've known about for decades, yet its true terror remains hidden from plain sight. You believe your internet is secure, an invisible shield protecting your data, your communication, your very lifeline to the modern world. But that belief, that sense of invulnerability, is a dangerous illusion. The truth is, that invisible shield could shatter into a million pieces, plunging humanity into a digital dark age. Imagine a world where your smartphone is a useless brick, your bank account vanishes, GPS becomes a myth, and every satellite orbiting our planet screams into the void. This isn't a power outage from a local grid failure. It's a global digital blackout, an extinction-level event for our connected civilization, and the silent culprit is the benevolent star that gives us life. They don't want you to know just how fragile our digital existence truly is. The Sun, a star we often take for granted, is a turbulent, living entity, constantly undergoing cycles of activity. Every 11 years or so, it reaches a peak, a period of heightened frenzy known as the solar maximum. We are hurtling towards the next one, projected to hit with unprecedented ferocity around 2026. This isn't just about pretty auroras. This is about coronal mass ejections, solar flares, and geomagnetic storms potent enough to unravel the very fabric of our digital infrastructure. Experts, those who truly understand the Sun's wrath, are whispering about a catastrophic scenario, a solar superstorm that could be 1,000 times more powerful than previous events we've witnessed. When these solar giants erupt, they fire off streams of highly energetic particles, traveling at millions of miles per hour. If Earth happens to be in the firing line, our planet's magnetic field, our only defense, takes the direct hit. While much of this cosmic radiation is deflected, enough can penetrate to cause havoc. Think of it like a cosmic EMP, but instead of a bomb, it's a star. And our delicate, interconnected internet, upon which modern life utterly depends, was never designed to withstand such a brutal assault. This isn't just a challenge, it's an existential threat. The common understanding is that solar flares cause radio blackouts, annoying but temporary. That's what they want you to focus on. But that's merely the tip of the iceberg, a distraction from the far more insidious danger lurking beneath. The real threat comes from the induced geomagnetically induced currents, or GICs. When a massive coronal mass ejection slams into Earth's magnetosphere, it creates rapidly fluctuating magnetic fields. These fluctuations, in turn, generate powerful electrical currents in long conductors on the ground, conductors like power lines, oil and gas pipelines, and, crucially, the transatlantic and transpacific undersea fiber-optic cables that form the backbone of the global Internet. These GICs are not simply static electricity, they are slow-moving, high-voltage surges that can overload and even melt components. Imagine an invisible, uncontainable surge of electricity flowing through the deepest parts of the ocean, frying repeater stations every 50 to 100 kilometers along these vital undersea cables. These repeaters are powered by copper lines running parallel to the optic fibers, amplifying the signal over vast distances. Without them, the light signals degrade, and the internet connection dies. But it's worse than just dead cables. These GICs can also affect terrestrial infrastructure, transformers in power grids, and even railway signals. The ripple effect is terrifying. The very foundation of our digital communication relies on these delicate repeaters. Optical amplifiers, pumped with laser diodes, boost the light signal. These components are extremely sensitive to voltage fluctuations, and a sudden, sustained surge could incapacitate them on a massive scale. Replacing them isn't like swapping out a broken light bulb. It means physically locating the affected sections, often thousands of feet under the ocean, bringing the cable to the surface, repairing or replacing components, and then relaying the cable. This monumental task could take weeks, months, or even years, depending on the extent of the damage. We've seen precursors. The 1859 Carrington Event, the most powerful geomagnetic storm on record, induced currents so strong they set telegraph lines on fire, shocked operators, and caused auroras visible even in the tropics. But in 1859, telegrams were the internet. Today, our reliance on instant global communication is absolute. A modern Carrington-level event isn't just a disruption, it's a reset. If you're among the 1% who want to understand these unseen dangers, then like this video and subscribe. This channel reveals truths others shy away from. Fast forward to 1989. The Quebec blackout. A relatively minor solar storm, by comparison to what's coming, caused widespread power outages across Canada, collapsing the Hydro-Quebec grid in just 90 seconds. 6 million people were without power for up to 9 hours. Transformers melted. Now scale that up globally, consider the sheer ubiquity of sensitive electronics, and then factor in the intensity of a predicted 2026 peak. The numbers don't add up for human survival as we know it. The Sun is currently in solar cycle 25, and its activity is already far exceeding predictions. Early forecasts suggested a weak cycle, but recent observations from NOAA and NASA indicate it's shaping up to be one of the most active in recorded history. Sunspot numbers are soaring past forecasts. X-class flares, the most powerful kind, are becoming more frequent. This escalating trend is not just interesting scientific data, it's a flashing red warning light for every nation dependent on digital infrastructure. And which nation isn't? This unexpected surge in solar activity makes the 2026 solar maximum a truly terrifying prospect. It's not just a return to normal, it's an outlier, a potential record breaker. Researchers at the Cooperative Institute for Research in Environmental Sciences, (CIARS), and the National Center for Atmospheric Research, (NCAR), have published papers in prestigious journals like Nature Geoscience, highlighting the increasing probability of extreme space weather events. They predict that our current understanding of solar cycles might be fundamentally flawed, underestimating the true potential for cataclysmic events. The enemy in this scenario isn't a malicious hacker or a rival nation. It's the inherent, untamed, primal power of our own star. And our vulnerability is exacerbated by decades of assuming our technology is robust enough, too advanced to be undone by natural forces. But the truth is, our digital world is built on a foundation of glass and copper, incredibly efficient but equally fragile. The most vulnerable targets aren't your Wi-Fi router, but the colossal network of communication satellites in geosynchronous and low Earth orbit. These are the eyes and ears of our global positioning systems, weather forecasting, telecommunication, and even defense. A direct hit from energetic solar protons can physically damage onboard electronics, scramble data, and even knock satellites out of their orbits permanently. Imagine your smart car suddenly having no GPS guidance, or your air traffic control systems going blind. The implications are staggering, extending far beyond simply losing your TikTok feed. Beyond satellite vulnerability, consider the actual data centers, the behemoth server farms that house the Internet's memory. While generally protected by shielding, a sustained GIC event could cause massive power grid failures, cutting off these data centers from their primary power source. Even with backup generators, fuel supplies are finite, and once those run dry, the data centers go dark. And if core Internet exchanges, the physical junctions where Internet service providers connect, are affected, the entire network can fragment catastrophically. The financial system is arguably the most sensitive and critical system at risk. All financial transactions, stock markets, banking, ATMs, credit card processing, it's all digital. A prolonged internet outage would mean no money changing hands, no access to savings, and a complete breakdown of commerce. We're talking about an unprecedented economic collapse, far beyond any recession or depression in modern history. The global economy runs on milliseconds of data transfer, and the sun can bring that to a screeching halt. Think of the ripple effect, the cascading failures. If global supply chains, meticulously coordinated through digital platforms, suddenly go dark, essential goods stop moving. Food, medicine, fuel, the pillars of modern society, become scarce. Civil unrest, social breakdown, panic. This isn't fearmongering. It's a logical extrapolation of what happens when the central nervous system of society, the Internet, is severed. The psychological impact alone would be devastating. People are so accustomed to instant information and global connectivity that its sudden absence would induce mass anxiety and confusion. What happens to our critical infrastructure when the Internet dies? Hospitals operate with networked systems for patient records, diagnostics, and even monitoring life support. Traffic lights, smart grids, emergency services, they are all interlinked. Without communication, coordination becomes impossible. Chaos ensues. This isn't a theoretical exercise for disaster planners, it's an imminent reality they are struggling to prepare for. And what's more, our dependence on the Internet has only grown exponentially since the last maximum. The stakes have never been higher. Some argue that measures are being taken, that national grids are being hardened against GICs, that satellite manufacturers are using more resilient components. But is it enough? And is it happening fast enough? The sheer scale of global infrastructure, the astronomical cost of upgrading every single vulnerable point, makes a comprehensive defense almost impossible. It's like trying to put a bandage on a supernova. The enemy, the forces of inertia and economic constraint, are preventing us from true preparedness. The most dangerous aspect of the coming solar maximum isn't just the probability of an event, but the unpredictable nature of the sun itself. Scientists are constantly refining their models, but space weather forecasting is still an evolving science. We might get a few hours or a day of warning before a major coronal mass ejection hits Earth, but that's barely enough time for critical systems to be shut down or put into safe mode, let alone for society to adapt. And some events, like high-energy particle streams, can arrive virtually without warning. The military, of course, has robust backup communication systems, hardened against EMPs and solar radiation. But even they rely on civilian infrastructure for a vast many functions. Moreover, their systems, while resilient, are not designed to assume a global, prolonged outage of the entire Internet and commercial power grid. A truly catastrophic solar superstorm could push even these hardened systems to their breaking point. Consider the undersea cables, the true arteries of the Internet. They lie on the ocean floor, hundreds, even thousands of kilometers long, equipped with repeaters powered by electrical current. These repeaters are sealed, self-contained units. To replace a single damaged repeater requires a specialized cable-laying ship, sophisticated underwater mapping, and days or weeks of intricate work in sometimes brutal ocean conditions. A widespread failure across multiple cables, simultaneously, would be an engineering nightmare of unprecedented proportions. It's not just about repair, it's about sheer capacity. There simply aren't enough ships, enough skilled technicians, or enough spare parts globally to address concurrent, widespread failures. What would happen to navigation? GPS satellites, heavily reliant on both electronics and precise timing, would be severely impacted. Imagine ships at sea, planes in the air, suddenly without satellite guidance. Autonomous vehicles and drone logistics would crash. The very concept of knowing where you are could become a luxury. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a recipe for mass disorientation and potentially widespread accidents. And what about the humanitarian crisis? Hospitals, as mentioned, are vulnerable. Even basic functions like operating rooms require electricity and often networked equipment. Water treatment plants, sewage systems, food distribution, all are increasingly automated and internet-dependent. A solar superstorm isn't just an internet outage, it's a breakdown of the complex, fragile systems that maintain modern human life. And what about the humanitarian crisis? Hospitals, as mentioned, are vulnerable. Even basic functions like operating rooms require electricity and often networked equipment. Water treatment plants, sewage systems, food distribution, all are increasingly automated and internet-dependent. A solar superstorm isn't just an internet outage, it's a breakdown of the complex, fragile systems that maintain modern human life. This false close moment is approaching. You think you understand the scope, the risks. But there's a deeper, more chilling reality. The greatest danger isn't just the damage. It's the irreparability. Once certain critical components in deep-sea repeaters or grid transformers are fried, they're not just offline, they're gone. And the global manufacturing capability to replace these specialized, custom-built components on a scale required after a worldwide event simply doesn't exist. We're talking about components with extremely long lead times, manufactured by a handful of highly specialized companies. The recovery wouldn't be a matter of weeks, but potentially years, plunging entire regions, if not the planet, back into a pre-digital dark age. This isn't about Luddism or rejecting technology. It's about recognizing the critical, often unacknowledged, fragility of our hyper-connected world. The same innovation that brought us instant global communication also created a single point of catastrophic failure, our dependence on an infrastructure that cannot withstand the sun's ultimate fury. They want you to believe technology will always save us. That's the most dangerous myth of all. So, will the Earth's internet shut down in 2026? A complete, permanent, global shutdown is perhaps the absolute worst-case scenario, one that scientists hope to avoid. But the probability of widespread, prolonged, and geographically significant outages to significant parts of the Internet, leading to massive economic and social fallout, is not just high, it's climbing. The question isn't if parts of the Internet will fail, but how much will fail, and for how long. And that answer, my friends, depends on the sun's unpredictable temperament and our largely insufficient preparations. This isn't merely a theoretical debate. Leading space physics institutions, including the European Space Agency and NASA, are aggressively funding new research into space weather prediction and mitigation. But these efforts are playing catch-up against decades of underinvestment and the rapidly accelerating pace of both solar activity and our digital dependence. The clock is ticking, and we are entering an era where the fate of our digital world hangs by a thread that spans the distance from Earth to the Sun. If you are among those who believe in truth and preparation, then hit the like button and subscribe to this channel. We deliver insights that mainstream media often overlooks. This story doesn't end here. The implications of a truly cataclysmic solar storm extend far beyond just the Internet. In our next video, we will delve into the terrifying possibility of how a 2026-level solar event could completely destabilize global power grids, leading to a worldwide, multi-year blackout scenario. A blackout so deep, it could reset civilization. Don't miss it.